Fae Farm is a new farming sim game with a focus on fairies and magic. However, compared to other games that are $15 to $25, Fae Farm is $40. So I wanted to make a review that evaluates the pros and cons of Fae Farm so you can decide if it is worth buying or not. Fae Farm has 10 total skills, a main storyline along with side quests from different NPCs, new areas to explore, dungeons, tool upgrades, and more. Personally, I think the character creation in Fae Farm is just okay. The character customization options are decent, but there could definitely be a huge improvement on them. One thing that was very nice is that there are 4 different body types that you can choose from. Instead of being stuck with just a female or male body type, you can actually choose between all 4, so it adds a lot more variety to how your character looks. I like that the color options had a large variety of varying tones and hues, so I didn't feel like there was a color I wanted that was missing. The hair options were quite decent, but my main gripe with this is the fact that there were barely any long hair options. There were quite a lot of short hair options, but there were like probably 2 or 3 long hair options at the most. One thing with the hair at least is that they do have facial hair, so for those people who do love using facial hair in their characters, that is a huge plus. There weren't any eyebrow, or mouth options that I really liked, so it was very difficult for me to choose one considering that it was like choosing between every option that you don't really want, so you just are kind of forced to choose one. Overall, the design of the characters isn't really entirely my favorite, especially with the size of the heads comparison to the body, but if you enjoy this type of style, then you would like the characters in Fae Farm a lot. They're just very cutesy with big heads and smaller body proportions. The current skills in Fae Farm are mining, farming, foraging, animal care, logging, fishing, critter catching, cooking, magic, and potion brewing. Mining in this game is mainly through the various dungeons you will discover in the game. The skill helps provide ore and rocks, which is used in a lot of different upgrades and recipes. Farming is the usual, with planting seeds, watering them, and then waiting for the crops to grow. The main difference that I would say that Fae Farm has over other farming sims is the idea of crossbreeding flowers in order to make a new flower with the combined genes. For example, you can crossbreed a red and white flower and make a pink one. When you buy seeds, they seem to all be plantable in every season. However, they will wither the next season anyway, and you'll have to clear them away in order to plant new crops. This only seems to apply to crops and not flowers. Watering the crops without magic takes a little while, as you have to water them one by one and refill the watering can. When you water plants and you run out of water, the animation is a bit annoying as it lasts 3 to 4 seconds and you are locked in place while your character is showing you that you're out of water. You can fill up your watering can at the well in your farm, but also by swimming in any water, which I thought was really cute. Foraging is simply just picking up items off the floor, which has a satisfying sound when you do, and it can be very addicting as there are tons of items to pick up. Animal care allows you to have farm animals that you can place in your farm through a coop or barn, and your daily tasks involve feeding, petting, and letting the animals out for fresh air. Logging is simply cutting down trees or the logs on the floor, which can also be turned into lumber and used in recipes as well as different upgrades. Fishing was honestly quite a disappointment for me. I love fishing in basically every game I've played, including Stardew Valley, Palia, Final Fantasy 15, Warframe, and more. But this game, I really just cannot get into the fishing. The fishing is tedious and very repetitive, where you just wait for the fish and then keep reeling and stopping when your line is about to break. When you stop reeling, the fish swims away from you, and this turns into a loop of doing this on repeat until you eventually catch the fish. You can't do anything to make it faster other than through fishing rod upgrades, while in other games you can fish better through your own ability to be accurate and fast at the minigame. This results in it taking a long amount of time to just catch one fish. It is sad because in other games I have spent hours on fishing, caught every single fish, and done every single fishing achievement, but I simply just don't enjoy fishing in Fae Farm enough to do any of this. Critter catching is done by using a net and then sneaking up to critters and then catching them. And I quite like this skill. It is satisfying and addicting. Something about the animation and sound makes me want to catch every single critter that I see around. Cooking involves campfires, prep stations, and a cooking station. Campfires you can use early game to cook fast meals from singular items that you find, while the prep station and cooking station can be used together in order to make bigger meals that restore higher amounts of energy. Magic is a very fun skill to use. It can be used in order to mine a large amount of ore at once, or water a large amount of crops at a time, as well as affecting other skills, which uses up your mana. It is also used in combat to fight enemies, and it is an integral part of the main story, especially as you unlock new spells over time. Potion brewing is a skill that you learn later in the game and is used to make potions that can aid you in combat or in specific situations. The mines, so far from what I have played, are quite fun. The mines have a lot of different resources that you will need in order to progress in the game. There are different designs of enemies you can fight, which all have their own mechanics. They will attack you when you get close to them and have spells that they cast. You can fight them with the staff, which uses magic, and you can also interrupt their spell casting in order to not get hit by their ability. But this varies depending on the enemy. You can travel to the next level of the mine by stepping on a panel that can be found underneath the resources you mine. In order to fast travel to certain levels of the mines, you must craft seals, which you can get the resources for through the mine levels, and they will allow you to teleport to any of the levels you have placed a seal in. One thing that is annoying with this is that you have to go to the mines to remember the amount of each seal you must craft, and some people might not be a fan of having to craft seals in order to teleport to levels you've already discovered. It didn't bother me too much personally, but it definitely could bother some. One nice thing though is that once you have a seal placed, the door to our next level is permanently open no matter how many times you leave the mines. I have been enjoying the mines so far, but as of right now, my biggest gripe with them is that the combat could definitely be more fun. It's kind of just spamming your attack button and dodging until the enemy is defeated, but if you don't mind the simpleness of it, then you would enjoy this aspect. I just enjoy more of a challenge, but there are more mines later on in the game that may introduce this into the game. Now for tool upgrades, as you progress through the mines, you will come across ore and other resources that are used in order to upgrade certain tools. You can then talk to NPCs in order to upgrade to the next tool, and it will be a stronger version of the tool. At the iron stage, the magic ability that is in each tool is unlocked, making the tool much more unique and fun to use at the cost of mana. Some other tools upgrades are just made through purchasing them with the currency called florins, depending on the NPC that produces these items. You can purchase inventory upgrades as you are able to earn more florins, which is the currency for a Fae farm. Something I really love about Fae farm is that the storage you receive at the beginning of the game is unlimited, so you don't have to create tons and tons of chests filling up your farm in order to store all the items you gather in your travels. You can also sort the storage by different categories in order to more easily find the items that you want. Recipes in this game are found scattered throughout the world, as you have to basically hope to find any random recipes you want that is on the floor. The premise of this sounds cool initially, but I found it a bit frustrating later on when I needed a recipe for a quest and could not find it anywhere. I feel like there should be a way to purchase or research recipes instead of hoping you find the one you want on the floor. I love crafting in games and earning new recipes, but this way of finding them is a bit unfulfilling in my opinion. If you're someone that loves interacting with and making friends with characters in most farming games, then you are going to be extremely disappointed with the characters in Fae Farm. The characters in Fae Farm feel almost like an afterthought, as if they were added into the game after everything else was done, and then the dev team had to quickly throw some characters in the game. Their personalities barely differ from each other, and their dialogue is very repetitive. In other farming simulators, you can choose different responses to give them, and they feel like they are really a part of the world. In Fae Farm, however, they all greet you very similarly, and it doesn't feel like you're talking to a character that is alive. They very much just have the boring NPC vibe, if you know what I mean. As for romance, there are 6 character options, and you'll sometimes talk to a character and it'll say you're quote-unquote flirting with them, but it's like the most basic conversation ever with no importance of any kind. When it comes to gifting, you can gift only the potential romantic partners one very specific item that they want, which it'll show you when you talk to them. This is either a pro or a con, as some people might just want to know the item that they like straight up, or some people like to figure out what items they like by gifting them different items at different times. You also can't really see a progression meter or anything to see how you're progressing with the character's relationship. It just tells you your current status with the character, like such as example if you're a stranger or acquaintance or a friend with them. In my opinion, this social aspect is easily the worst part of Fae Farm. As for selling your items, you have to go into the town center to really sell most of your items at each of the stands. There are 4 tables, each with 8 slots which hold singular items. The only thing you can sell at your own farm is produce by purchasing a produce table from an NPC named Pearl. This seems like a huge limit on the number of items you can sell at a time, and I feel like a lot of people would not enjoy this aspect. Especially if you're like me, where you like to hoard a ton of items and then sell them at the end of the month or season just to see all the profits you made, this is not gonna work with that. So after 20 hours of gameplay, I think overall Fae Farm is a solid game, but if you enjoy fun fishing mechanics and relationship building in games, it is not worth it at all for you to buy. Another thing too, if you do not enjoy games that you must follow the main storyline in order to unlock new areas and upgrades, you would not enjoy Fae Farm. I enjoy the main story, but I'm someone that doesn't mind it. But if you like doing your own thing whenever you want and going to whatever places you want and discovering things on your own, you would definitely not enjoy Fae Farm because it is very linear. Also, if you love a lot of character customization, you are not going to get that here either. If you are someone who really loves fairies, magic, and cute visuals, as well as just being able to chill and go at your own pace, then you would really enjoy the game. The magic, upgrades, and story are very fun, but this game is definitely not worth $60. I'm honestly not even sure if it's worth $40. I think it should have been priced closer to $20, especially there are a lot of farming sims out there that are worth around that much and are more polished all around. I do enjoy this game quite a lot, enough to play it for a lot of hours, but to recommend it to others at this price is not something I can do while in good faith. So that concludes my opinion on Fae Farm. Let me know in the comments below your opinions on it as well. Like and subscribe if this video helped you form an opinion on the game, and thank you so much for watching as usual.